This is our spoiler review of Ghost Hawkers by Mary Robinette Kowal.
I loved this book.
It was really good. Like, when you read the back of the book, because it's like, there were mediums in World War I and the British Army is using them to report in information, you're like, this could go two ways. This could be amazing, or this could be complete camp.
And it kind of has this, like, harlequin-y, romancy, like, not super serious cover. So I was just like,
I don't know.
It was amazing.
Pretty much from, like, the moment you started, you're like, okay, this is gonna be fine. We got this.
You're very quickly introduced to the characters. The main character is Ginger. She has a group of her team that anchor her with Helen and Mrs. Richardson and this kind of cute little old man.
This guy with one leg, I can't remember his name for the life of me, I'm sorry.
And Ben, her fiance.
He's not on her team, but
No,
you know,
but
he hangs around.
Yeah.
Mrs. Richardson is this great old granny who's like constantly knitting things for people, and she's kind of got like this love affair with this other guy in the group, and you know, they're super secret about it, but they're super cute also because they're flirting back and forth subtly.
Throughout the entire book, she's just like pulling things she's knitted out of her bag and giving them to people, like, oh, this soldier, have a scarf, or oh, this guy, have a muff. It's just really cute.
There's also Ben's karate black belt assistant who's there.
Marrow.
There's also Helen. She's a black woman that has a lot of obstacles for her, which is great.
Because she's pretty much the brains and everything behind the Spirit Corps, but because she's a black woman, they refuse to recognize that, the soldiers and the higher-ups. So she has to work through Ginger and Ginger's aunt. And it's another big thing because Ginger isn't even recognized because, you know what? She's a woman. It's her aunt who has a title who gets
any respect.
Yeah.
Technically the aunt runs the Spirit Corps, but she's not a medium. So yeah, they've got this team, and the way being a medium works is you kind of like take your spirit out of your body and you can see ghosts, you can see people's auras. If you really want to, you can experience the ghost's memories. So Ginger has experienced like hundreds of deaths of soldiers in the front when they report in, and the soldiers are conditioned to report in. Nobody knows how, you know. People think it might be a tea that they serve you.
Yeah, because they do this huge big song and dance fake conditioning.
They'll be like, oh yeah, that's totally how we do it. But really, it's like on one of their tags is like some dirt from where they are and some blood. It connects them and they come there when they die.
I've started to really like books where the relationship has been set before.
Yes!
Because, like, you don't have to deal with
the will they, won't they?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, they're engaged, they love each other, they clearly function as a couple.
Yeah. It's just like getting all that
God.
unnecessary drama out of the way, and you're like, you can still be cute and heartfelt and have like feelings for these people, but you don't have to set it up.
And they have all these like little like interactions that they keep repeating, like, you know, like kind of like inside jokey kind of phrases, which I really, really loved. They were just like, I was like, oh my god, you two are too cute, it's gonna like wreck me. And it did!
Because Ben, you know, he realizes that there is a leak and the Germans are onto the Spirit Corps and what they're doing. They don't know how to condition their soldiers to report in, but they are trying desperately to figure it out. So Ben's out on his missions and he ends up dying. He's just like, I was strangled from behind, all I know is that the guy was like blonde and that's about it. And also he was part of the British Army.
And how this happened was really, really well done. How Ginger finds out because Ben shows up to report in and she's in the middle of speaking to another soldier, and so she just kind of feels his presence, his aura, and then she turns around and realizes it's because he's dead. And I was just like, oh my god.
Just like, shit.
So, like, unexpected.
I know, right? And you're just like, oh my god. And, you know, it doesn't go into big theatrics, but you definitely feel that she is upset and she's sad and she's trying to figure out how to go on with her life and also how to solve this mystery of the leak because Ben can't move on until he figures out who killed him.
And I thought that was also really cool because since he becomes kind of like one of the characters in the group trying to solve the mystery, but as time passes, his connection to the world is loosening and he's forgetting things. So he's just kind of tied to his emotions.
And he starts kind of becoming like a poltergeist at some point, because if he like feels really angry, if he feels Ginger being threatened, he just kind of like loses everything, and that's kind of degrading him even further. So it was really, really cool that way.
I just love that this world was full of consequences.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just magic is wonderful and lovely and look, we can talk to... Like, it was like scary a little bit.
Yeah, it totally was. So basically, Ginger's adventures take her to the front. At one point, she has to crawl through the trenches to meet with a contact on the German side. She runs into somebody makes a cameo, and I was reading this book and I'm like, oh look, blah blah blah, blah something Tolkien, blah blah blah. Wait, Tolkien. Yeah, he was in World War I. I wonder if she means that Tolkien.
And like the end, she says he looks like he's too bookish to be a soldier, and I'm like, oh
that was the line that sold me. I'm like, yep, that is definitely Tolkien.
Oh my god. It was great because like it was the only real cameo in the entire book.
And it was so offhand.
Yeah,
like, if you're not paying any attention, you just read it right off.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is Lieutenant Tolkien. He'll, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was, like, a huge, like, Tolkien Lord of the Rings nerd. I, like, just, like, had to put the book down because I was so excited.
And you can tell that the author's just a huge nerd. She's like, oh, I can put Tolkien in here!
It's a cute kind of shout-out.
Unfortunately, Mrs. Richardson dies. And
she dies off screen.
Yeah, and that was super tragic. I was super upset. And so all this time, Ginger has been traveling with Marrow, Ben's old assistant, Ben, and Mrs. Richardson, and eventually find out through like a series of events that it was actually Marrow who was part of the leak, and he's the one who strangled Ben. Which is sad because I really liked him. Like he was like this kind of like young kid who was also a black belt in karate, so it was kind of cool that way, but he was not like assuming or anything like that. And I was like, oh, that's super shitty.
And I mean, he goes about things in a really, really clever way. He fakes an injury that he's gone deaf because of the, like, shelling that they both are present at. And so the only way he can hear is when Ginger touches him because their, like, psychic things can speak.
Yeah, she's speaking, like, soul to soul instead of, like, mouth to ears kind of thing.
And so, basically, he's right there the entire time, and he can hear whatever she says and whatever she does because she doesn't think he can. And just, he gets all the information he could ever want.
Yeah. So, Kowal does a great job of kind of, like, cementing the era. Unfortunately, she doesn't go into, like, any specific battles or something, or, like, really unique situations that would really grab you. Which is a little unfortunate because it, like, more or less reads like a generic World War I novel atmosphere-wise. Like, you know, she mentions trench foot and PTSD and shelling and that kind of stuff, and you're like, yeah, I kind of know about this from history class, but you don't get any, like, extra information that way about any, like, big battles or any specific battles that had, like, really horrible drawbacks or anything like that. But, you know, her adding in the class and race and gender issues really do help cement the book into the era. But the book ends with Ginger finally figuring out that Marrow is the one who killed Ben, and, you know, she manages to, like, take control of this big kind of offensive operation where she uses some of the Indian soldiers who they're not expecting, like, Germans aren't expecting to attack. And
a big ghost army.
Yeah, which was really cool. I'm like, why didn't we not do this sooner? And she ends up stopping the mediums from interrogating Helen to find out the secret of conditioning.
I liked the ending, and I specifically liked it because, one, they didn't come up with a reason to bring Ben back. Like, throughout the entire novel, they're tossing around, oh, well, maybe sometimes, like, you get knocked out of your body, but your body is still alive and you can be brought to it. So maybe the reason Ben is so wacky is because his body's still alive.
Yeah, you're like...
I'm, like, so glad that, you know, there wasn't, like, a happy ending in that regard because it felt more realistic. Like, it wasn't, it's okay, the couple will be reformed and blah, blah, blah. So that was nice. I liked that the novel ended before the war ended.
Which means sequel.
Which means a possible sequel.
So all in all, it was a really great, interesting book that I super enjoyed reading and would be super excited for a sequel. So definitely considering picking up Kowal's other series as
Definitely.
well.
I love Regency. It's my jam.
Yeah, and, you know, it mentions, like, the Napoleon Wars and all that stuff. I'm like, sweet stuff we never talk about.
So it's been fun because, like, we had Arabella of Mars, which was, like, Regency plus sci-fi, and now we had this, which was, like, supernatural fantasy plus World War I, like...
Which we are super into because of Dan Carlin, so...
Yes. If you have not heard of Dan Carlin's hardcore history podcast, Drop Your Life, go listen to it. It's beautiful and wonderful and perfect and, like, very informative.
Specifically Blueprints of Armageddon for the World War I stuff, but any of his other podcast episodes are freaking amazing as well.
My favorite was Prophets of Doom. It's like one of his one-offs, so it's like 3 hours long, but it's still like really, really interesting, and he's right, I don't know why this isn't a movie.
Oh, it'd be so good. So, yes, we totally recommend you pick up this book if you're like a history buff, or you like supernatural, or you just want something fun but really, really good as well. So kudos to Kowal because I've enjoyed it.
Check it out. Tell us what you think in the comments below.
And we will see you next time, guys. Bye.